Thanksgiving week is here, and thus begins one of the busiest travel periods of the year. Let's talk about how the weather's going to behave in this Monday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Good morning. It's Monday, the 25th of November 2024. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Building-in-Chief David Reimer. We had some pretty nice weather over the weekend. A cold front pushing into the Panhandle last night and this morning, resulting in much cooler weather across the northern third to the northern 40% of Texas today before that cold front stalls out, moves back north quickly tomorrow, and then we get a stronger cold front that will move across the entire state of Texas in time for Thanksgiving Day and into this weekend. Let's take a look at the high-res rapid refresh model. Now, the arrows you see here, those are your wind direction. So you can see this model actually does get that cold front, at least the northerly wind shift with it, all the way down into South Texas, down to the Gulf Coast tonight. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have cold temperatures that far south, but at least indicates a bit of a northerly wind shift later on today. But you can see across western Texas, we're going to be shifting back into southerly winds as we get into Tuesday, and well, that'll be the case for most of the state on Tuesday. Notice maybe a couple of isolated light showers down in the coastal bend, Rio Grande Valley, lower Texas Gulf Coast. Otherwise, we are not expecting precipitation in Texas with this cold front, and significant precipitation is not expected over the next 5 days in the state. So gave that one away. Let's take a look at the wildfire outlook. Dry weather. Freezing temperatures for some means fuels are starting to go dormant, especially across the western, northwestern half of the state. And as we begin to deal with some more dynamic storm systems, increasing winds, the threat for wildfires will probably start to increase. For today, high fire danger in the Big Bend, the southern Concho Valley, southern Permian Basin, the Trans-Pecos. On Tuesday, things a little calmer, low to moderate fire danger across the state. On Wednesday, things become active. According to the Texas A&M Forest Service, they're projecting very high to possibly extreme fire danger in the Davis-Guadalupe Mountains, the Trans-Pecos, into portions of the Big Bend. High fire danger. North Texas, Central Texas, South Central Texas, parts of the Brazos Valley, down into the Rio Grande Valley, West Texas, the Permian Basin, the borderland of far West Texas, and again, perhaps even higher risk than that in parts of western, far West Texas. Now, let's just take a look at the forecast rain totals for the next 5 days. Anything above 1/10 of an inch is going to show up on this map. Notice this map is more devoid than my hairline. Yeah, that's because we're not expecting anything over 1/10 of an inch of rain over the next 5 days in Texas. Now, we are going to have the opportunity for some sprinkles. We may even have some very light snow Thursday morning, Wednesday night in the northwestern panhandle. But otherwise, we are not expecting significant precipitation. We're not expecting thunderstorms, hurricanes, winter storms, sharknadoes, whatever you want. Not in the cars this week for the state of Texas. So if you're traveling in the state, you're going to be okay in that regard. Could have some active weather across the eastern half of the United States on Thanksgiving, Friday, Saturday, and we're going to have some pretty cold air moving across parts of the United States as well as we get towards the second half of this week and this weekend, but overall, it could be worse. Let's take a look at the long-range American weather model, the global forecast system. As we go through this week, you can see strong cold front moves into Texas Wednesday, into Thanksgiving Day, northerly winds. That'll bring cooler weather to the state, a cooler Thanksgiving. But I do want to emphasize that given the fact we've heard a lot about very cold weather across parts of the United States, that does not look to be a direct impact to Texas. We're going to get skirted, at least with this wave, later this week, over the weekend, and, well, as we get into the first week of December, we'll have to see, but we're going to have multiple waves of cold air coming on down from the Canadian prairies and further north than that. It looks like as the floodgates open up in terms of cold air for the first half of December. Exactly where those air masses go, still to be determined, but at least for the first couple of waves. We're going to get a glancing blow, with the worst of it being the coldest weather expected off to our northeast, our east, and then, well, the eastern United States. I know a particular Ashley who is not going to be very happy about that. Let's take a look at the forecast temperatures over the next few days. Well, let me say this. You could see some light rain possible Sunday, Monday, South Texas, Rio Grande Valley, Rio Grande Plains. And again, there is a small chance for some very light snow in the Panhandle Wednesday evening. But this is probably the most ambitious model with that, and we're expecting some pretty dry air in the low levels, so probably not going to happen. It's not something we're concerned about at this point. Now, here are today's high temperatures. 40s, Panhandle, West Texas, Northwest Texas. You can see we're expecting temperatures generally in the 50s to 60s, Texoma, North Texas, Big Country, Concho Valley, Permian Basin. These are high temperatures from 6 a.m. onward today, meaning that front keeps moving south, so we're the cooler air. Some of y'all, especially on the southern periphery of this temperature gradient, may end up having high temperatures this morning with falling temperatures this afternoon. Either way, north winds, it's going to be cold afternoon north of this front. Southern half of the state, you're going to be in the 70s, 80s, even low 90s this afternoon. So it will be one of these days where we get to play Find the Cold Front games. All right, let's take a look at tonight's low temperature forecast. This is the forecast low temperatures tonight into Tuesday morning. We are expecting a freeze in the Panhandle, West Texas. Temperatures dropping towards the upper 20s, low 30s. Nothing unusual for late November. We're expecting temperatures down into the 30s. Arklatex, Texoma, North Texas, northwest sides of the DFW Metroplex, down into the Hill Country, the Concho Valley, the Big Country, the Permian Basin, down towards the Big Bend, the Davis Guadalupe Mountains. There could be a freeze or two there as well, but that is more likely going to happen by Friday morning across the northwest half of the state. Tomorrow you can see pretty good rebound temperature-wise. Cooler weather across the southern half of the state, that's for sure, with that cold front continuing to move south, but still temperatures making it up upper 50s, 60s, 70s, and then it looks like we're still going to make it into the low 80s down the Rio Grande Valley, deep South Texas, so really it's still nice weather. As we go into Wednesday, we warm up quite quickly. We're all the way back up into the 80s. Southern two-thirds of the state of Texas, so that's a very quick rebound. Could have some gustier south winds on Wednesday, and this is all going to be ahead of Crashy the cold front, which will arrive Wednesday evening into Thanksgiving. Front, if it ends up being faster, could be moving south into Texas Wednesday afternoon, dropping temperatures like wow, there would have been a good state trooper analogy there, but I messed it up, and oh well, let's just drink some more caffeine as I contemplate the failure that was. But again, temperatures are going to be falling Wednesday evening into Thursday, but Wednesday, hey, you know what? If you don't mind the wind, it's probably not going to be a bad day to put up some outdoor Christmas decorations, because guess what? Here's the high temperatures on Thanksgiving Day. We're going to be in the 40s to mid-50s, northern third of the state, gusty north winds. We're going to have wind chills in the 30s and 40s. It's going to be a pretty cool day. Temperatures falling across the northern two-thirds of Texas. You can see after 6 a.m. Thanksgiving, that's what this is for, meaning high temperatures, yeah, in the 60s, but probably falling into the 50s by the afternoon. Southern third of the state, down towards the coast. Hey, you know what? It's still going to make it up into the 70s and low 80s Thanksgiving Day, Thursday afternoon, but it's going to become much cooler Thursday night. Now, here are the forecast low temperatures as of now for Friday morning. Black Friday, when it actually was a thing where you had to get up at 2 in the morning and go sit in front of a store. Yeah, I'm that old. We're expecting a freeze for all intent and purposes. Let's just say the northern half of Texas at this point. We're expecting temperatures to be at least near freezing or below freezing. And if the colder air mass is more dense or impressive, that may end up getting drawn south. But let's just go ahead and say the northern half of the state, frost and or freeze by Friday morning, day after Thanksgiving. Temperatures in the 40s down into southeast Texas, the upper Texas, middle Texas Gulf Coast, the coastal plain, South Texas, 40s to, honestly, still maybe around 61 in McAllen. And then and Brownsville. And then here's the highs on Friday. We're looking at mostly 40s to 50s, northern half of Texas, upper 50s to 60s, southern half of the state. So, yeah, it could be worse. Like I said, the worst of the cold air with this round is going to be off to our northeast. But if I were to pull up a national map, you can see we're going to have high temperatures near zero in the Dakotas, Minnesota by this weekend. So I want to emphasize we're heading towards a colder pattern across the United States east of the Rocky Mountains. And for example, here's the Climate Prediction Center temperature outlook, November 30th through the first several days of December. And it looks pretty similar for the December 3rd through 9th time frame. We're going to be in a pretty cold pattern in our part of the world, and that will allow for multiple waves or multiple strong cold fronts to make their way south, resulting in, yes, crashy the cold frontisms likely to continue into December, and we'll probably have stronger ones than what we're dealing with. And then here are the precipitation chances, probabilities, whatever you want to call them. You can see southern half of the state above average chances, and that's probably with some of those rain chances as we get into Sunday and Monday next week. They don't look that impressive right now, and the rest of the country mostly not looking particularly wet, though we are expecting at least some chance of snows across the northern plains, the Great Lakes, the northeast United States. At least it's going to be cold enough, because as I take a look at this temperature map, it's going to be more of a January, February type air mass, when it's actually typically quite cold. So get ready, because winter's coming. We may just be on the glancing side of it for now, but there are indications maybe around December 4th, 5th, we may get a more direct hit. And then it would be getting quite cold. It's, for all intents and purposes, we're heading into winter. So it's going to happen at some point. That is going to be it for your Monday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. As always, you can get your local weather forecast, interactive weather radar, daily Texas weather roundups, and more. No matter where you are in the country, by the way, you can get your local weather forecast and weather radar. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers where you download apps for your device. And as always, you can find us here on the Texas Weather Center YouTube channel. We appreciate you watching us here. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. It lets you join our family. It is absolutely free, and we definitely appreciate you. Leave us feedback, good, bad, suggestions. You want to call my head ugly? That's okay. You wouldn't be the first. But guess what? If you're a cold weather fan, you're probably going to like the forecast. If you're not a cold weather fan like Ashley, you're not going to like the forecast. Sorry, but we are getting into December. At least I'm not wearing a Santa hat yet. That's coming, though, don't worry. As is the Grinch costume. Y'all have a great Monday. We'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning, Tuesday, with your next edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Have a great day. God bless.